What's up, creeps? It's Jason. Of course, this is Riley, Rigor Mortis Mask, the Mask Rizzler, whatever. I got a new name for him every day, man. Yeah. But you know him, guys. Go to his Instagram. Look at all his cool masks, and look, we're on a I guess a calendar mask kick, right? This is something that the problem with being was it impulsive because obsessive? One of those disorders.
Hyper-focused.
There we go. Hyper-focused. That sounds way better. I'm just obsessed, right? And so are you. And that's one thing I like about Riley. When he gets focused on something, forget about it. Your masks are dead. They're coming to him, all right?
The wicked don't rest.
That's right. So he's, we said that, I guess, like 3 or 4 shows ago that I'm going to start collecting. We get them all, and we're getting there. You're getting there.
We're almost halfway through.
Yeah, which is crazy. And today, whoo, I like this guy, man. This is the 1998 Don Post Calendar Reissue Mummy Mask, right? Version B, which...
We'll explain.
He'll explain that. Yeah. There is a version A of this. So let me do my nerd talk real quick about the mummy, right? Which is a universal monster. It's in the what is the Mount Rushmore of universal monsters, right? It's definitely in there. And in this right here, there's a lot of mummy movies. Yeah. Just like there's a lot of any movie, Frankenstein movies, all that good stuff, Drac movies and all that. But this one is sculpted after the mummy's tomb, which is 1942, starring Lon Chaney Jr., who a year prior was the actual Wolfman, which is what? He's doing both? That's kind of cool. And I was like, man, we don't do that anymore like these days. But then I thought about it. We actually do that, right? You look at Kane Hodder, for instance. He was Jason Voorhees from a few films. And, Victor Crowley on the Hatchet series. So it's kind of cool, right? Yeah. He's kind of taking that Lon Chaney Jr. world and, moving it. So I dig that. So, but this is a really cool mask. And there's a lot of things we're going to talk about today on this, and I'm just going to shut up now because I'm probably got nothing else to say besides I like this mask. And talk to me, Riley, what do we got, man?
All right, so our calendar reissue, as we had mentioned, and what we were talking about in the beginning is there's a version A and a version B. Yeah. And there's about 3 or 4 masks that have doubles in the calendar mask series. There's a creature A, a creature B, mummy A, mummy B, Wolfman, so on and so forth. And the mummy A is actually based on the mummy's ghost. This one is based off the mummy's tomb. Yeah. And what's interesting about this particular copy is we had mentioned in the previous video how some of these masks have a problem called mask rust. Yeah. And it's not really a problem because the mask won't rot or anything.
Now explain that mask rust again in case they didn't watch you just tuning in now. Okay, what is mask rust?
So basically the clear coat on these masks were kind of faulty and they'd kind of yellow and brown over time. And as I had mentioned in the previous video, it makes the mask look like a rotisserie chicken. Yeah. Well, in this case, it works because this is our Mummy B, and normally these are painted like a sand kind of beige color. Yeah. But this seal is obviously kind of browned over time, but it looks more like mummified skin. I don't think I'm going to mess with it. I actually think it works better than the stock paint.
I agree 100%. Yeah. When you brought this in, I was like, I asked if it was a repaint, first off, right? Because sometimes, guys will do that, right? In fact, your last Frankie was...
the Dave Katz one.
Yeah, it was a repaint. And you were like, no, this is what you were talking about last episode, where just that clear coat goes over, it yellows over time, or I don't want to say yellow, kind of yellow-orangish, it all depends what paint's underneath it as well. Yeah. And, but... Yeah, usually that's a bad thing. Not a bad thing, but it doesn't. You don't get the true colors. But this improved it, man.
I honestly like this better. Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna mess with it or anything. There's ways to fix it, but it works for this guy. He's a mummy. He's in the dirt. He's in the mud. He's wrapped
dead.
up.
He's been dead.
He's drying up. He's full of fluids and grossness. So I think the aging skin on this guy looks great. And they went ahead and went through the hair with, I believe, some acrylic paints. Yeah. And just kind of made it that matted, crunchy feel, which I dig that for sure.
The hair like sand, is dope on this, man. It is. It just looks like crusty and all that stuff, but it's actually soft. It's actually really nice, and so it is a paint. The paint's running through here, and it's nice, man. It's matted down, and it's like boom, perfect, man. So who sculpted this guy? You remember?
So this guy. In the 70s, they had a Mummy A and a Mummy B because the original sculpt was too small, so you'll see 2 versions. Yeah. And you might see the other version pretty soon here on the channel because I am hyper-focused. And so, there were 2 versions, and then I believe this derives from the original sculpt in the 60s. Really? And Darren Perks went ahead and retooled some of the details into those mummies, so it's pretty cool to see these guys today,
And this is and I'm not when it comes to the Universal monsters, like the Mummy is on my lower tiers, right? And I've never been one to collect a mask until you brought this guy in and gave this to me, which is super cool of you, by the way. So I'm just kidding. One of these days that's going to work, and he's going to be like, okay. No, I'm just kidding. But this one is amazing. It's awesome. The detail in this thing, and you're right, the yellowing and the
still tagged, which is pretty cool.
Which is awesome, and super happy. This thing is thick. I can literally go put this on my truck, and I could drive at least to Vegas right now. This mask is like this thick. We'll show you a video of it as well. So, and how many do they do of these?
So each version of the mask that had 2 variants, they did 250 of each.
Okay.
If the mask had 1 variant, I believe they only made 498 or 500.
Yeah.
Because I heard a weird story from David Lady that they made 498 copies of each mask. Where were the other 2? The Dom Post employees are like, what other 2? So it's a little weird on their numbers, but I believe they made 500 of the single variants and 250 of the double variants.
Which is super, super freaking cool, man.
And limited, you know?
And it's a wearable as well. It's cut up the back, but...
you have to have a real small head to fit in it,
maybe when I was like 4 years old, I could put this thing on. I don't know, but you know what? Who's wearing this anyway? This is a display copy.
Collector's piece.
And you can tell you how thick this is. It's standing up on its own.
Yeah.
There's
no stuffing in that
No
guy.
stuffing, no stand, no nothing. So, all right, you know what we always do? We always talk money, right? Because that's what makes the mask world go round. And if I'm jumping on eBay and I'm looking for this guy, right? This exact version B, what am I paying? With a box, by the way, or without a box?
So without a box, I'm saying probably 300 mark.
Ooh.
But if we're going for a box, I'd say 450.
Nice.
So yeah, they're not too bad.
No, it's actually super affordable for something like this, guys. Once again, limited run of these things, and you'll never have a mask this thick. I mean, it's ridiculous, and it's what a cool display copy, man. So there you guys go. The 1998 Dom Post reissue calendar mummy mask, version B, and hopefully, like I said, fingers crossed, we'll see a version A here creeping through the halls of the mask morgue. So, and that being said, it's time to put Riley back into his tomb, and we'll close the mask morgue doors.